Okay, hi, part two. So hi. I mean, if you haven't seen part one, I would recommend going to watch part one. We're going to be continuing the reading that we were just doing. I don't normally do two parts, but I feel like there's a lot to be talked about today. Just as a recap from part one, we essentially tapped into you overcoming some very, very serious struggles and conflicts in your life, resolving stuff with people from your past, letting go of people from your past, moving into a new relationship with somebody who actually wants the same things, moving into a new career space that is giving you what it is. It's like you feel like you're getting paid what you want. You know what I mean? It's not what you're worth, I should say. And you're moving into that healthy space in every area of your life. We're just going to continue to pull some cards though. These are the cards that we got that we just tapped into with the part one. So just like, it was like that kind of evolution from the Four of Pentacles. We had the Five of Pentacles that came out. I had them organized. So it was 4, 5, 6 Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like it's just both people realizing that in order for a relationship to work, there needs to be equal give and take. That's going to look different for everybody. So right now I feel like you're in a space of understanding what that looks like for you as individuals, and then bringing that together to actually invest in the relationship. Let us go ahead and continue to pull cards. Give thanks to my guides, angels, and ancestors for any messages that you want to come out for this new relationship that the collective is investing in, whether this is friendly, romantic, or otherwise. We did have some cards that indicated this is a new friendship that is starting. It can have the potential to lead to romance, but it doesn't always have to be a romance, right? I know that's what a lot of us are looking for, but it's important to value relationships for what they are, especially if they are healthy relationships. And instead of trying to project your own wants, needs, and desires onto another person, I'm giving them the space to actually show up as they are, and for what they can show up as, right? And by doing so, that's going to give the relationship the space it needs to grow into what it needs to grow into, right? So we already got one card that came out. After this, I'm likely going to go back to Hieronymus Bosch. Got another card that came out. Got the Ten of Wands, and we got the Tower that came out, man. So as I'm shuffling, we'll talk about that, right? Off the bat, I feel like that is you deciding to really put an end to some shit, man. Right? We got the Lovers. So now we're moving into the romantic space, right? The Lovers, that is technically what I would consider to be the romantic version of the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups in the minor arcana, it's like it can be a romantic relationship, but it is also like it's just a strong connection. It's a friendship, strong relationship. But the Lovers, that is a strong, like, loving romantic relationship. Okay, so I wasn't sure whether what we were talking about was romantic or otherwise, but yeah, okay, now we got the Emperor that came out under that, and we also got the Strength card that came out under that. And I'll go ahead and take this as well, and then I'll take this one as well. You know what I'm saying? And I'll take this one as well. We got a lot of different cards coming out. Okay, so, and this is part two, and we have the time to talk about it. So we're gonna go ahead and start with I gotta organize, these are all weird. Let's talk about these ones that came out, okay? So we have the Three of Swords, we have the Queen of Cups, we have the World, we have the Hierophant, we have the Tower, back to the Three. So this is, I feel like either this is you or your person has experienced an ending in a relationship. I feel like that's kind of been the nature of what's been going on. I'm seeing a seagull and a crow, like, chasing each other. I don't know if that's, means anything to you. Just really, I guess I've seen, there's like territorial battles between the crows and the seagulls. That can be a message there. I just feel like somebody from your past is disappointed that you're moving on. You know what I mean? I feel like there was a tower moment. Somebody here is watching you move into this new relationship. You're booed up, you're with your new boo, you're doing your thing, you're in your new career space, you're making your money, you're doing your thing, you're living your life, and you're glowing, right? And I don't feel like everybody is happy about that because they're not happy with their own lives. Somebody here is heartbroken, man. Somebody here is not happy with the fact you decided to walk away from a third-party situation is what I'm seeing. And yeah, and by doing so, you're allowing that new relationship to come in, man. You said no more to that. You're like, the Tower moment and the realization came in that the person you were dealing with was dealing with somebody else. And you just said, you know what, fuck that, man. I don't need to deal with that shit anymore. Like, that's all great and I'm happy for you and you do your thing, man. But, I'm focusing on my own healing. I'm using my intuition to actually make a decision that's going to put an end to these really old archaic cycles and not tolerating that anymore, dude. Not tolerating it. really squashing the beef within yourself. And by squashing the beef within yourself, squashing the beef within your relationships too, right? Because that's where it starts, man. In order for you to really squash beef with somebody, you got to deal with it within yourself before you can actually forgive. And really, forgiveness is a process, man. It's not just a one time, like, I forgive you and it's done and done. No, it's like you got to continuously find compassion and empathy and forgiveness for people who have hurt you, right? But I just feel like it's just one of those things where I feel like you're really coming into a true counterpart situation. Do we have 3 counterpart cards, man? Let's pull them out. Just to show you how many counterpart cards we have on the table. I'm not even on a table, I'm in a car. Am I missing one? I know I'm missing one. I'm missing this one. No, this one. These 2. Sorry, I have them all laid out on my seat and I'm like trying to sort through them. Okay, I think that's all the counterparts. Let's just look at the counterparts. I just want to see them all together because it's not too often we get this many counterpart cards on the table. So, okay, it's because the Queen of Pentacles was at the bottom of the deck. So we don't have the Queen of Pentacles out, but the Queen of Pentacles did come out. But it was at the bottom of the deck before we shuffled. So we have the Emperor, we have the Empress, we have the High Priestess and the Magician. And I guess I'll just leave that there because the Queen of Pentacles isn't in the deck with us right now. King of Pentacles will go back. But just, we had the King and the Queen, right? But we got the Emperor, we have the Empress, we have the Lovers, we have the High Priestess, and the Magician. So, this is just twin flame energy, man. I personally don't like getting too much into twin flame dynamics because I don't really resonate with a lot of what the twin flame community speaks about. I am not personally somebody who likes to give into the runner chaser dynamic, or I don't know, just all, you know what I mean, the very typical traits that you see when you go research twin flames. I don't really, you know, subscribe to those ideas. You know, if you do, I'm not judging you for that, but just know that, like, that's kind of my bias when I'm approaching these readings. I will acknowledge twin flames, and I do believe that twin flames are a thing, but I just think it's different for everybody, and it's not always going to look the same. But I feel like regardless, though, if you don't resonate or subscribe to twin flames, this is something where you're now in a very beautiful, this is somebody who's willing to build with you, man. This is a mutual relationship I'm seeing between you guys, man. This is a very loud truck. This is the Emperor and the Empress recognizing the connection. And I feel like more than anything, Spirit is really, really personifying the spiritual nature of this connection, man. This is 2 people who want the same things. They want to build a life for themselves, for their family. They want to create generational wealth. They want to, you know, manage their empire. Like, they want to do all those things that the Emperor and the Empress do. So now we're kind of tapping into, I feel like this is just going to be talking about the relationship that came up at the end of part 1. You know, part 1, we really talked about overcoming the conflicts and letting go of the people that tried to bring you down and finding forgiveness. But now we're seeing the story develop where you're entering into this relationship now. You're actually into that space where I feel like you either have already connected with this person or you will be connecting with this person soon. I feel like this is somebody who is already in your life, though. It doesn't necessarily feel like this is something that it may not have entered the committed space yet, but I feel like that's the direction we're seeing. I mean, we had the Page of Pentacles upgrading into the King of Pentacles, and then we had the 4, 5, and 6 of Pentacles. And so it's like a slow process of getting to know each other, and I feel like this is where this is going, man. This is going into not only a place that's going to spiritually enrich your life, but it's going to actually provide you with, you know, physical sustenance. Like, I feel like you're both going to be very financially abundant in your own personal lives, and being able to combine that to build more abundance together and actually, you know, really embody and live out the dreams that you've been wanting to for a very long time. And I feel like what I'm also seeing, man, it's like, and it's only because you overcame your past. You overcame the pain of your past, but this is also something I'm seeing that could be an issue moving into this relationship. It's not letting the past hold you back, right? With the Strength card, this is overcoming that pain. This is really moving into calmer waters, dude. Like overcoming that mental conflict, man. This is what came out on Instagram as well. Needing to overcome that mental conflict within yourself in order to move into this relationship. It's a natural thing that happens, man. It's not something where it's never going to happen, right? Moving into these relationships and these dynamics, they're going to trigger a lot of different things, especially in divine connections that we do channel for here. We don't talk about karmic connections very much other than what we just mentioned earlier. That's like the extent that we will ever really talk about them, because, you know, that's not where our focus is here as a collective. You know, we've grown past that. I wouldn't even say it's a hierarchical thing. We've just grown, man. We're elevating constantly, you know, with what we do here on this channel, constantly growing as people, constantly supporting each other to grow to that next level, and wanting to see everybody do better for themselves. And I feel like that's not only what we're reflecting back to each other, but what you and this person are reflecting back to each other. It's like you're both in that same position where you may come from very different backgrounds and have very different lives, but at the core, you guys are very similar people, man. And I feel like it's because you have both been through so much. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like that's what's holding you back anymore. I don't feel like it's something that's keeping you from actually making that offer, whether this is you or them. I feel like there is just the new beginning with the Page of Cups here. It may be, I mean, it could be somebody younger than you. We could look at it like that. But I think more than anything, this just represents the fact that this is new. We had the Page of Cups and we had the Page of Pentacles. And as from what we know of the court cards, this can represent different people. This can represent the people you're moving on from in the past. This can represent an immature person that may have hurt you, again with the Strength and the Six of Swords. This can represent something that your person is going through a breakup, mourning and grieving, and healing from the loss of an ex. You know, that's also what I'm seeing. We did have those cards that came out with the Tower, the New World, the Hierophant, the Ten of Wands, and the Three of Swords. I feel like you're both healing from that, man. I feel like either you're showing this person how to heal, or they're showing you. It feels like symbiosis, man. You both have learned how to heal from things in different ways, and I feel like it's giving you both the opportunity to actually support each other in that healing process by just embodying your best self and consistently showing up in a way that is going to be beneficial to both of you. Again, I feel like you're both seeing the benefits of this relationship. It's not something where you're just sitting here like questioning, oh, is this for me? It's like, no, you're like, no, this is for me. It's really no question. I don't feel like you're sitting here really wondering whether you should give this person a chance, because it doesn't look like this person has really done anything to hurt you at this point. I feel like if anything, it's just stuff from the past that has come up that may be causing these internal conflicts, especially if you're kind of getting triggered in different ways. It's really needing to take a look at that. Right now is a good time to do that. We are in Mercury retrograde, man. Let's go ahead and pull some more cards with the Hieronymus Bosch Tarot, and then we'll go from there. So bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Skates. It says finding direction, assertiveness, and taming internal fire. We have Sin of Lust, and then we have King of Birds. So this is the card of purification, essentially going through a purification process. It says purification, work, unending activity. Sin of Lust is sex, passion, extravagance, and excess. We're going to read these from the book and see what they say. Okay, so King of Skates, we'll probably start with that one. This is like the most I've spoken in like a long time. I don't really speak aloud very much. I tend to keep to myself for the most part, but I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but my vocal cords are getting a little strained. That happens sometimes if I speak too much, or especially just because like I you know, I record music and I sing, and I like to practice in my car and stuff, so my vocal cords are a little more sensitive, because actually, side note, I injured them a long time ago. So it's actually possible to injure your vocal cords if you're not singing or talking properly, which is why it's really important to utilize your diaphragm and your stomach, and essentially using that to like push your voice out and not just using your throat and straining it. So, because that's what I'm doing, I'm accidentally straining my voice. Anyways, enough of me. Knight of Swords, Knight of Skates. I'm not even on the right one. Sorry, I was looking at the King of Skates. Sorry, where's the Knight? Should be right down here. Yeah. Okay. So So the Knight of Skates is riding on a strange animal wearing skates. While the skull-headed knight plays a harp, this long-necked creature eagerly cranes his head forward, hoping to be led into the ice. If the knight felt more assertive and confident, he would set down the harp and strap the skates on his own feet, but then he would end up like the page of skates. And for reference, this is what the page of skates ends up like dead in the water, basically. Let's see. It says, looking like a fool while trying something new. Instead, he approaches the unknown tentatively, clinging to that which makes him feel secure. He's somewhat like the Knight of Birds, who wears a helmet as he soars through the air on the back of a bird. These two knights are ambitious and adventurous, but not foolhardy. The message of the Knight of Skates is best summed up by the Susan Jeffers self-help mantra, feel the fear and do it anyways. So if you guys remember, my complete shift on the night energy comes from this card. Like after I kind of read that whole little last part we read, that's where my shift in perspective came from, and I had never seen the night in that way. And that's what I'm seeing here, man. So this person you're dealing with, they could be a musician, you know, they could be somebody who is in the public eye to some degree, you know what I mean? There could be a lot of people that are lusting after this person, you know, but I don't feel like this is somebody who's entertaining those options. I feel like this is somebody who, while they're very sure of themselves, they're not stupid and they're not taking immature chances, but they are making moves slowly. That is the fucking like message, man, across the board from people I've talked to readings I've watched, to these readings. Everything seems to be moving a little slow. We are in Mercury retrograde. A lot of the times that's the opportunity for us to revisit the past, not to necessarily go in that direction or give it another chance, but to maybe, you know, find, you know, pick up pieces of ourselves that we may have left there, to find healing, to find forgiveness, in order to clear our own conscience, to actually be able to fully invest in a new relationship or career space. Doesn't just have to be that. So we're going to go ahead and read Sin of Lust and King of Birds. King of Birds, Sin of Lust came up first, so we'll read Sin of Lust. Yep. Sorry, I was checking my voice. I have to do that sometimes where like I gotta do a low note, and that's how I can tell if my voice is if my vocal cords are strained. So anyways, sex, passion, extravagance, and excess. Two couples exchange lusty glances in a subtle scene rich in symbols. The woman in the center is holding a red flower presented by her suitor. He is giving her a bowl of wine which has been poured from an ornate bowl, and a harp lies nearby, again with the harp. The woman's sly glance as she accepts the wine suggests her readiness to have sex. Inside the tent, shaded red, pink, and gold to emphasize the activities that will take place there, a man and woman are beginning to get down to business. As the man touches the woman's face, she signals her willingness with a carefully exposed red shoe. Meanwhile, an angry fool makes faces and shakes his staff, displeased that the couples aren't enjoying his entertainment. They are too busy pawing one another to care about his antics. I dropped one of the cards, though. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach it, man. It's really down there in the seat. I haven't dropped a card into this side of the seat in ages. I mean, we already read it, but like, I don't want to just... Come on. I got it. Oh, I got it, then I dropped it. Got it. I got it. I didn't have to get out of my car to get it. We already read it, but I got it. So that's what I'm seeing, man. I feel like there are people that, again, as we talked about, they aren't really too happy about seeing you move in this new direction. I feel like that goes both ways, man. I feel like you got somebody you're dealing with that's got people around them that's like, what the fuck they doing? Why aren't you paying attention to me anymore? And same for you. You're just, I feel like you made the decision, man. There was a point where you were like, oh, maybe I should, you know, give this person another chance, you know, but there's this new person, you know, that kind of thing. And you're like, well, you kind of took some time to reflect, if you're not already doing that. And making the decision is what's going to allow this to move forward. But like I said, man, in a situation like this, you know, the counterparts are focused on each other. They're not focused on the noise and the jealous people. This is something that came out in the last reading, ignoring this kind of stuff, not giving it any energy. You know what I mean? Letting people have their process and focusing on what's in front of you which again, it seems to be like this new relationship that you are embarking upon. However that looks like right now, even though it is moving slow, it does look like there is a new opportunity. However it ends up, this is one of those things where I feel you got to kind of let go. You got to kind of let go of your, what would I call that? Expectations. Maybe temper your expectations and really just release the need to control a situation and let it be what it is, right? King of Birds. Ooh, almost dropped that one. All right, here we go. King of Birds. I don't know if I can get... I can't actually like tell if it's focused unless I'm looking, but hopefully it focuses. This is purification, work on ending activity. A giant bird on a golden commode is consuming men, passing them through his body and ejecting them into a blue bubble. The man being eaten has birds issuing from his backside, as though the king of birds is blowing them through the man's mouth. It is a purification process. The king of birds is made more human as the people pass through his body, while the men being consumed are endowed with an increased ability to earn money and be active. This echoes a primitive purification ritual in which men's laziness and sloth are cleansed in the difficult passage through the bird's innards. The king of birds also benefits as visaged by the cauldron on his head and 2 vases on his feet. He is transitioning from flight, air, to vessels, water, with the assistance of man, earth. The king of birds may represent a father figure to the reader. So, I'm seeing a couple things. This is you overcoming, fatherhood trauma, like daddy issues, overcoming all of that. I don't feel like that's the main focus here. I just feel like more than anything, man, this relationship is undergoing purification. I feel like you as individuals are undergoing purification. You're focused on each other, intently on each other. I don't feel like you are seeing anybody else, focused on anybody else. I don't feel like that's the issue here. I feel like the issue here is you two are so focused on each other that other people are getting jealous. They're kind of, maybe the attention is being taken off of, other people around you that may be used to you giving them a kind of attention. One thing I feel like I need to mention is a lot of the times, especially with exes, man, when they come back around, it's usually because, one, whatever they were dealing with or whatever better thing they tried to move on did not work out, or two, they see you giving that kind of attention to somebody else and they're jealous that they're not getting that kind of attention, and three, they don't actually want to be with you. They just want that attention for their own selfish reasons. Kind of something I feel like needs to be talked about, especially when we're seeing this card here, dude. This is, I feel like you're focused on this person, these are multiple people here focusing on each other. This is what's going on, man. People coming into union, relationships forming. And then the people who are left behind who may have just been pulling bullshit tricks. I mean, this is like a jester, basically. That's not to speak on the nature of a jester, but to say that this is a foolish person that may have really just done you dirty, man. And while I don't like to focus too much on that energy, it is important to discuss it to an extent when it comes up. And that's just to say, man, keep your focus, keep the vision, heal from the past, forgive whatever happened to you, undergo that purification process, and understand that it is an ongoing process. Especially if this is a new relationship, there are going to be things that you need to heal from on a regular basis. If you are both doing the work and decide to dedicate yourselves to becoming better people and want the same things, that's the recipe for a beautiful relationship to form, man. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. It's not just jumping in head first. This is going through the process, man. This is also what I'm seeing. It is a process. It is letting the universe move this relationship in the way that needs to be moved, taking the guided steps necessary safely, you know what I mean? Like not being stupid about what you're doing, and really just ignoring the people around you that are trying to distract you. But I feel like we already covered that in the first part. You overcame that. That's not even an issue anymore. And it's one of those things where you're like, it's like I'm wiping my hands clean of these people from the past. I'm wiping my hands clean of anybody that's really trying to keep me distracted off of the path I have worked so hard to cultivate. We have worked so hard to cultivate together and continue to read for on a regular basis, right? We're going to go ahead and we'll pull some final cards with this deck and then we'll close it out. We are nearing the end of the time that I have. Okay, that didn't take long. All right, let me get these out of my way. Okay, we have Sin of Pride. We have Knight of Birds. Yeah, so that was what they were talking about, Knight of Birds in the Knight of Swords deck. And then we have Queen of Books. And then we have the Wayfarer, which is the Fool. We're going to go ahead and read these. By the time I read these, we'll probably be out of time because we have 4 cards, and as you have seen, the reading takes a little bit of time, which I don't mind doing. I actually enjoy it. We'll start with the Fool, or the Wayfarer, excuse me. So we haven't gotten this card yet. I've gotten it like maybe 2 times in my readings, maybe 2 or 3 times, but we're going to go ahead and read this. So it says, the path ahead, adventure and choices. Bosch's painting, The Wayfarer, is similar to the classic imagery of the Fool. He is a shabbily dressed traveler being harried by a dog. Although his clothes are torn and ill-fitting, the Wayfarer carries a wicker basket upon his back, so he is prepared for his journey. He holds the dog at bay with a staff, ignoring the knife at his waist, with which he could kill it if necessary. The Wayfarer is leaving a house of ill repute, either a tavern or brothel. The Wayfarer is fleeing this dilapidated structure and all the vices that lie inside. In front of and above him are serene creatures of nature, which represent the purity of divine creation, while the brothel represents the impurity and impermanence of things created by human beings. Although the Wayfarer is on a steady course into the forest, he still glances back at the life he's leaving behind. Does he feel regret? Does he want to return to the ladies of the night? Or is he merely keeping an eye on the dog with a spiked collar? The Wayfarer represents the start of all things, the journey's beginning, and the hero's decision to take the first step in a productive direction. It represents the future, things to come, and using your talents. No, using. Wait, what? Using their talents. There's a typo. I guess using your talents to find success and overcome obstacles. We all have the abilities and experiences that seem trivial or useless, but those skills might end up saving us or helping us to accomplish our goals. So, first and foremost, I gotta say I'm not really a fan of the way the author is speaking about sex workers. I feel like they're doing their thing. That's just what they choose to do, and that should be respected. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's like, I don't really agree with what the guy's saying. I'm sorry, but I do understand where he's coming from with the card and just the symbolism of leaving behind past behaviors and things that may have kept you stuck in a space of not really, I don't know, like really just kept you in your low vibrational space, right? But more than anything, man, I just feel like this is a time where it's like this new relationship, it's happening. It's not something where I feel like there's any decision to be made. It's just now a matter of the when, the where, the how, and all those things where we can't necessarily control those. I am almost out of time. I don't know if I'm going to have time to read these. Well, I think I have time to read maybe one more before we run out of time. We'll do Night of Birds because that was what came up. Yeah, so I mean, keep in mind too, man, like these illustrations are like probably from like the Renaissance era. They're pretty old, man. So this guy is interpreting messages, I think, through the lens of like, I don't even know what you would call it. I guess just like a classical religious view. They do have a lot of Christian and Catholic undertones. You know, that's for everybody to decide on their own how they resonate with it. But we have the Night of Birds. It says, adventure, excitement, and movement. A nude man wearing a raindrop helmet rides on the back of a bird. The Knight of Birds is a man of passion and action who craves excitement. Although he cuts a dashing figure on the back of his trusty bird, this knight is not foolhardy. His helmet indicates he values his safety. The lessons he learned as a page have served him well. The knight rides with one hand raised to further increase his sense of danger and excitement. No matter how skilled or proficient he becomes at riding birds, he will continue chasing the thrills he experienced when he was first learning to fly. This card is encouraging us to have an adventure of our own by doing something that might be out of our comfort zone. That's kind of what's been coming up, man. In order for you to move in this new direction, you're gonna kind of have to step out of this kind of observation space. This is the card of essentially just observing from a distance, right? It says intelligence, advice, intuition, and observation. I feel like there comes a point where you can continue to follow your intuition, and yes, that's something that you should always do. But I feel like there comes a point in life where, in particular situations in relationships and career, where you kind of have to take that step. You know, yes, be smart about it. You know, chase the thrills that you feel like you need to chase in this relationship. I feel like more than anything, this is personifying the fact that this is an exciting new adventure that you're embarking on. It feels new, it feels fresh, it feels healthy, it feels like something where you're both It's like you're leaving your old life behind, which is kind of how I take this card. While I don't agree with the way sex workers are spoken about in this deck, I do see the symbolism of leaving behind an old way of living. Maybe you or this person are used to just living life on the edge, living the fast life, partying all the time, hooking up with like hookup culture, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's kind of being let go of here. I feel like this is a matured type of energy. This is essentially the Queen of Pentacles, because we had the Queen of Pentacles that did come out. I feel like because you're both maturing as people, you're now in alignment with each other and really just deciding to take that adventure, man. But, and don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone, man. Like, one thing I guess I could say here, it's like if you're dealing with somebody new and they have a particular way that they live their life in terms of like they have things they enjoy, this is pretty self-explanatory, but it's like being willing to participate in that, right? Being willing to show up and do things that your partner enjoys, not just because you want to make them happy, but because you actually want to invest in the relationship and learn new things about yourself and learn new things about the world, and not be so stuck in your bubble of being caught in your ways and just sitting on the sidelines and waiting for things to happen. It's taking those steps, being willing to be brave and do what it is you need to do. We are going to read this one last card, though. We have time for that. It says sin of pride, appearance, vanity, and physical well-being. Okay. This one here, I actually haven't taken a good... Okay, because I have read it a few times and I always wanted to look to see what they were talking about, but I didn't have a chance. I kept forgetting to do it. So, a woman wearing a headpiece stands with her back to the viewer. A demon in a matching headpiece is holding up a mirror so she may see her reflection and adjust herself. The woman is so wrapped up in looking at herself and enjoying her own appearance, she is ignorant that her back is turned to the audience, aka us. We see these narcissistic tendencies every day on social media. Pride also extends to people who talk ceaselessly about their own life and accomplishments, ignoring those of the people around them. If the sin of pride appears in a reading, it generally points to the reader's inner condition. It might be a spiritual condition if the suit of vessels is nearby, a physical condition connected to health or wellness, or a stumbling block for their ego. The sin of pride covers many aspects of the human ego. All should be examined to ensure there are no inner impediments to success and growth. We have about a minute left. I think that is a good place to leave it. It is an extension of that energy where not letting your ego get in the way of this, and being willing to be open to new experiences, taking those steps necessary, putting yourself out there, man. I know it can be scary, especially in a new relationship, having to, maybe integrate into a new friend group, or doing things you're maybe not used to doing, or, taking trips that you may not have taken when you were by yourself or in your past relationship. This relationship is new and exciting, but it is going to ask you to really, really take a look at your ego and what's holding you back from fully investing into this person, and learning to have compassion for their life, and vice versa. That's going both ways, man. But that said, I love you. Thank you so much for watching, man. If you want to book a personal reading, everything is in the description. I will see you in the next reading, man. This has been an adventure. We did pretty much over an hour for this one today, so let me know if you enjoy. Have a good day and goodbye.